Good morning. You are welcome to my YouTube channel. I am going to embark upon Revit Essentials Training, and the focus will be on architecture, structures, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and sites. That is what Revit was made basically to do, to alter architectural models, structural models, mechanical models, electrical models, plumbing, and then site model. So when you have a very good Revit model which is altered very well, then it means you are on the way to do BIM. Then when your Revit model is not well altered, then it will be very difficult for you to integrate yourself into the BIM delivery process. So without talking too much, let us go into the training. Okay. So I'll start with the Revit Essential Training. The Revit Essential Training is basically on introduction to Revit, which will look at everything you need to know about Revit, and it will take you through how to understand the Revit user interface, how to modify, create, update, delete, and edit stuff in Revit. Now, when you are very comfortable with the user interface and how to create and update and read and edit stuff in Revit, then you can then move on to the intermediate level, where you take all the disciplines and then focus on them. And let me show you this model. We are actually going to work on this model at the intermediate level. Okay, we will do the architecture model, we will do the structural model, we will do mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, so as for us to understand the proper workflow for Revit. So I'll come back to this model later on while the training goes on, but basically that's what we are going to work on from the beginning to the end. It's a very small project which doesn't entail very much. In a future date, when we are okay with this, we can move on and then take on more complex projects that might be of help for any design professional or any building industry professional, whether you are an architect, a structural engineer, mechanical engineer, whether you are an interior person, whether you are a constructor, anybody. Even if you are a fabricator, this training too might be of help to you. You look at all of them into the future, because the whole idea is to understand the BIM process. But if you do not have a firm grasp of Revit, then it will be very difficult to be part of the BIM delivery process. So for now, I'll focus on Revit training. In a future date, we will explore into other areas that include BIM and other digital design areas that might be of help to whatever we are doing. So let's go back to the training slides. Now, before we embark on the Revit training, there are some frequently asked questions that I want us to address as time goes on. Okay, sorry. So let's look at the prerequisites. There are three main things I'm going to discuss here. 1. BIM. 2. Revit. And then 3. The course we are embarking upon here, the Revit training course. So let me go back and then let's look at BIM from the beginning. BIM is a requirement for IPD. IPD is Integrated Project Delivery, but BIM and IPD are for now beyond the scope of this course that we are doing. It will be a different subject altogether for us to look at. But I cannot teach you Revit without letting you know what BIM is. So if you know what BIM is, and if you know what the requirement for BIM is, then when you are learning Revit, you understand the best way to learn Revit so as to be able to do BIM. And again, if you do Revit and you don't do BIM, it's like you are swimming in the shallow waters of the deep seas. Okay, so the whole idea is to learn Revit so that you can be part of the BIM process. And if you learn BIM well, then you can do IPD, or if you get to understand BIM, then you can do IPD, Integrated Project Delivery. But IPD and BIM are beyond the scope of this training for now. So the focus will be basically on Revit for this training. So the question is, what is BIM? And according to Autodesk, the proprietary software owners of Revit, building information modeling is the holistic process of creating and managing information for a built asset based on an intelligent model and enabled by a cloud platform. BIM integrates structured multidisciplinary data to produce a digital representation of an asset across its life cycle, from planning and design to construction and operation. Built asset in this case is any building. So it can be a residential building, it can be a hospital, a university, it can be an office block, or it can be a whole neighborhood which include a cluster of buildings. It can even be a city. So depending upon where you look at it, BIM can be very big. So as much as you can do a building information model, you can also even do a city information model, whereby you can manage all the assets within the city at the information management level. Okay, so that is what BIM is. And if you look at it very well, we are talking about a process here, process of creating and managing information of a built asset. So BIM is the process that you can go through to be able to do that. And Revit is one of the tools that you can use to do that. Okay. There are other definitions of BIM from NBS and Wikipedia, but since the focus is not on the BIM, I will leave you. You can visit my website and then read further on BIM from my website, and just go on and focus on what we are coming to do, which is the Revit training. But why would somebody want to do BIM, or why would the whole world, the champions of the building industry, promote BIM? You see, the world population will be about 7.7 billion by 2020, and according to the United Nations, this industry in the global community are looking for a smarter and more efficient ways to design and build so as to create spaces that are smarter and more resilient too. BIM allows AEC professionals to capture the data they create during the building delivery process, and allows design and construction teams to work more efficiently to the benefit of all stakeholders, and most especially operations and maintenance activities. This is a YouTube video on how is going digital helping to improve various building industry professionals. You can find it on NBS website. You can also find it on NBS YouTube channel if you are interested. But I've included it in my website here so that you can also rely upon it and then read more on them also. Now the next thing is, what is Revit? Revit is a platform, and this is one of the Autodesk products for BIM delivery. And from research, it is the premier and the most advanced BIM authoring tool that I know. Revit as a digital design tool is like a multi-purpose tool in the hands of a building designer. The Revit platform supports design, parametric modeling, presentation, visualization, documentation, annotations, and scheduling of projects required for BIM. In a Revit building information model, that is a BI model, every view, 2D or 3D, every schedule, and every sheet is a representation of information from the BI model. Revit collects and manages information about a building project and coordinates this information across all representations of the project. The Revit parametric change engine automatically coordinates changes made anywhere on a project, no matter how big or how complex, in model views, in schedules, and drawing sheets. This allows you, the designer, to focus on the most important aspect of your work: design. Question 2. What is the difference between Revit and other CAD software? The main difference between AutoCAD, which most of us are used to, and Revit are: 1. AutoCAD covers widespread commercial use of 2D and 3D CAD and a lot of industry functions, whereas Revit focuses on AEC and related industry functions, and as such, it is designed primarily for design professionals in the AEC industry. Please, AEC simply means architecture, engineering, and construction industry. So if you are a building professional, Revit is good for you. But if you are any other designer, then you can use AutoCAD. If you are not a building professional, that is, if you are not related to architecture, engineering, and construction of a building, then Revit might not be of any use to you. AutoCAD has a geometric CAD approach with 2D and at best 3D functionalities. That is, you can use AutoCAD to do 2D drawings, and you can also use AutoCAD to do 3D modeling. But Revit has at its core a 3D modeling approach that can be extended with add-ons and beyond 3D to 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, and so on. Which means that the minimum requirement for Revit is a 3D model. So if you cannot do a 3D model, you cannot do anything again in Revit. But when you do the 3D model, you can generate 2D views from the model, and then you can annotate it when needed for documentation. So when the 3D model is done well in Revit, the 2D views and sheets can easily be generated and implemented for any other purposes. Okay. AutoCAD gives you data based on your geometric design objects, whereas Revit gives you data on your building model element. That is, when you are doing AutoCAD, you basically work with geometric objects like lines, surfaces, and then solids objects. But in Revit, we don't work with lines, surfaces, and solid objects. Rather, we work with building elements that are architectural, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, site, and so on. So depending upon your understanding of architecture, depending upon your understanding of structures and depending upon your understanding of MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, it will help you to understand Revit better. Okay. AutoCAD is considered best for 2D drawing and 3D geometric modeling, whereas Revit is better for building cycle project delivery from inception through to demolition. So AutoCAD basically is for modeling and drawing, and it ends there. But with Revit, when you are done with the model, any aspect of the project delivery process of a building, from its inception to its demolition, Revit can be very useful, depending upon your understanding of it and how you intend to use it. AutoCAD is more difficult and time-consuming for modification of projects, whereas Revit makes it easy for project change and management. Okay. Let me do this correction here. Good. AutoCAD is very limited in terms of coordination and collaboration, whereas Revit was engineered for efficient coordination and collaboration based on projects no matter the scale and number of project participants. What is parametric modeling? Parametric modeling refers to the relationships among all elements in a project that enables the coordination and change management that Revit provides. A fundamental characteristic of Revit is the ability to coordinate changes and maintain consistency at all times. Whenever you make changes to any element at any time in any view, any schedule, or any sheet in the project, Revit coordinates that change throughout the entire project. These relationships are created either automatically by the software or you can create them yourself as you work. You do not have to intervene to update drawings or other content. When you change something, Revit uses two key concepts that makes it especially powerful and easy to use. The first is the capturing of relationships while the designer works. For example, a structural column is constrained to the intersection of two grid lines. If you move any of the grid lines, the column is constrained to the new location of the grid line. As simple as that. In this case, the parameter is one of association or connection. You don't move a column that is related or constrained to a grid. You can move the grid and then the column will automatically be moved to the related position. The second is the approach of propagating building changes. For example, when a rebar is placed equally across a given element, if the length of the element is changed, the relationship of equal spacing is maintained. That is, for instance, when I have a 3-meter beam and I put in rebars in that beam, okay, say stirrups, at an interval of 150 mm across it. When it is 3-meter beam, I'm getting about 20 stirrups. I'm getting about 20 stirrups. Okay. Now, when I increase the length of the beam from 3 meters to 6 meters, Revit will automatically double the number of stirrups for me without the need for me to go back and then edit the stirrups. And I think that is fantastic. This kind of change or this kind of parameter is not a number parameter, but is a proportional characteristic that is embedded in Revit. The result of this concept is a software that works like you do without requiring entry of data that is unimportant to your design. What are the advantages of using Revit? 1. Parametric modeling. 2. Construction documentation. 3. Scheduling. 4. Rendering presentation. 5. Drawing sheet setup. 6. Collaboration. 7. Coordination. 8. Energy analysis. 7. Automation. And 9. Cloud-based access. This you can't find in Autodesk. And if you can find in Autodesk, it will be in Autodesk AutoCAD. It will be only limited to a specific discipline. But when it comes to Revit, you can do coordination and collaboration, for instance, across all building disciplines, which will be illustrated in the training that we are going to do. Some people normally ask, Revit to design the building for me, right? Please, it's a big no. Revit is a digital design tool. I built a very powerful one. You are the designer, and as such, it is expected that you know what you want and how it all goes together. Revit will efficiently help you to develop, explore, and communicate your designs to others, most especially your clients. What file types are used in Revit? Historically, there were 3 project file types for Revit, as there were 3 flavors for Revit, namely Revit Architecture, Revit Structure, and Revit MEP. .RAC was the file extension for Revit Architecture. So, for example, you can get my project.rac. .rst was the file extension for Revit Structure. So, for example, you can get my project.rst. And .rme was the file extension for Revit MEP. For example, my project.rme. Currently, all the 3 disciplines have been merged into one and is referred to as Revit with the following extensions: .rvt, that is Revit Building Information Modifier. So any project you work on has the file extension .rvt. And we also have 3 other important files that you need to know when you are working in Revit. The first one is Revit template files, and that is .rte. Revit template files is a requirement for any project if you want to work fast and efficiently. We also have .rfa for Revit family files. Revit family files are the loadable components that you load into your project whilst you work. And .rft is the Revit family template files, which you can use to create your own family contents and load them into a Revit project. Your ability to work with all these 4 file types will shape your professional, how do I call it? Your professional focus. How can I get a copy of Autodesk Revit software? You can visit Autodesk website and subscribe. There's a free subscription valid for 1 month and a paid up subscription too, so the choice is yours. How long does it take to learn Revit? Obviously, this is quite an open-ended question, like how long is a piece of string comes to mind. Much will depend upon how many hours you put into practicing, utilizing the concept you have learned. But on average, you are looking at months, not days or weeks, in order to feel comfortable with the basics. So Revit is BIM, right? Revit is not BIM. Revit is one of the premier authoring tools for BIM. Now about the course. Who qualifies to take this course? all architecture, engineering, and construction professionals, that is AC professionals, whose tasks involves design, modeling, documentation, annotation, and or visualization of any building project of any scale. This list is not limited to the following professionals: an architect, an engineer, an interior designer, an exterior facade designer, a landscape designer, a constructor, and a technician. What are the course requirements? I'll talk of two requirements here. One is hardware requirements, that is your personal computer or workstation, and then the two is the software requirement, that is the Revit flavor and version you are using. Now, with the software requirements, you need for training purposes, and I'll give you some minimum recommendation. You need about 8 gig RAM personal computer with 2 gig graphics card. Recommended, you need a high-end, preferably a workstation with about 6 gig graphics card or higher, and preferably NVDI. Minimum 16 gig RAM, or preferably 32 gig RAM machine. Software requirements. The hardware specification of your PC or workstation will influence the version of Revit you can use. So if your machine is not that strong enough, you can use Revit 2016, Revit 2018 and stuff. But if your machine is good and strong enough, you can explore Revit 2021, Revit 2020, and Revit 2022. What are the resources for this training? I'll be relying upon website resources, and if you go to my website www.kwamedunfapo.com, you can get everything there and read more on Revit. You can also visit Autodesk.com website. They are the owners of the proprietary right of Revit, and most of the things that I know I learned it from their website. I'll also provide you with training slides, and I'll be giving you slides on Revit introduction. I'll also be giving you slides on Revit architecture intermediate, Revit structure intermediate, all the various disciplines. I'll be giving you slides as and when they are required to support the training. I will also make available Autodesk Revit architecture books, normal ebooks, which you can download from my website as and when they become necessary. Then you also need training files, templates, and then libraries. In the beginning, we will be using the default Autodesk content. That's the default template and then the default libraries. But as time goes on, we will look at how we can improve upon these templates and libraries for effective project delivery. What will I learn upon completion? You will learn everything you will need to know about Revit from the ground up. You will learn how to do a parametric model for a residential building across all disciplines: architecture, structure, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and site. You will learn how to model, document, present, visualize, and annotate a building using Revit. What is the course structure? I have 2 models. Free model, which I am embarking upon now. Then there will be subscription model. So the free training model is made up as follows. Model 1, Revit introduction before embarking on a project. This is a requirement for anybody, whether you are an architect, or whether you are a structural guy, or whether you are a mechanical plumbing guy. I'll teach everything that you need to know about Revit at that level. But with Module 2, I will be breaking it down into various disciplines, because it will be very difficult for me to be teaching you structures if you don't understand the structural language. So at the intermediate level, I'll break them down into the various disciplines. So if you are interested in architecture, then you can focus on the Revit intermediate architecture. If your interest lies in plumbing, then you can also focus on Revit intermediate plumbing. The subscription models, that is mastering Revit content. This will be made available later and can only be accessed through subscription on my website. But that one is into the future, not now. Maybe some 6 months away from now. Other courses. Yes. Other courses such as AutoCAD, 3D Studio Max, Navisworks, Dynamo, etc. will be made available later. Okay. What if I have a technical question as I undertake the course? You can reach to me personally through any of the social media handles provided on my website, and all queries will be all queries on YouTube, all questions that you ask me on YouTube will be answered within 24 hours. Thank you very much.